New Zealand's opposition leader is calling for action against Australia over the deportation of Kiwi criminals.
Canberra has sent more than 1,800 deportees back across the Tasman since 2015. Simon Bridges has told Sky News what is good for the goose is good for the gander.
The Ardern government is staunchly opposed to Australia's hardline deportation stance.
It's not in keeping with the spirit of our friendship.
The Prime Minister believes the issue is corrosive to trans-Tasman ties, but Australia isn't budging.
Where there is virtually little to no connection between the person being deported and New Zealand, and that those are the cases that we find most corrosive.
As Jacinda Ardern prepares to meet Scott Morrison in Sydney this week, New Zealand's opposition leader is calling for a tit-for-tat approach.
Where we have criminals from Australia in our country, we should be thinking about whether we do the same sort of thing the other way.
Simon Bridges telling Sky News it's time for New Zealand to stand up to Australia.
What is good for the goose is good for the gander. And if it's fair's fair one side, I do think we need to explore whether it's also the right thing for New Zealand.
Jacinda Ardern says two wrongs don't make a right.
I don't want New Zealand to race to the bottom. If you want to argue for greater fairness, the best way to advocate for that is to make sure you're modelling it yourself. And so we have retained a lot of the benefits for Australians who choose to live in New Zealand.
New Zealanders can be deported from Australia on bad character grounds or after they are sentenced to more than 12 months in jail. Despite calling for retaliation, Simon Bridges has not detailed the action he'd take, confirming he wants to look at what changes are possible. More than 600,000 Kiwis call Australia home. Just 60,000 Australians live on the other side of the ditch.
The rejoinder will be that won't be big numbers, but we don't know what the future holds, and I think if in principle it's right for Australia, it's worth exploring whether it's also the right position for New Zealand and New Zealand's interests.
Jackson Williams, Sky News, Wellington.